not severely affected by it. We don't know what the next time is going to be. So
Right, yes.
there will be storms. There will be
Yes,
the
yes.
earth. This
Oh,
this is
yeah.
this is still the earth that is subject to
Anything, yes.
all sorts of things, because just as the human nature is subject to sin, the sin, the sin cursed earth is still going to bring forth thorns and thistles and some of the other things that are the result of the fall. So
Yes.
we keep our minds focused on God and keep each other in prayer. All right. So those of you who are on the phone line, we welcome you this evening. Those of you who are on Zoom, as I can now see, there are 6 of us on Zoom. And those of you who are on YouTube, I made a blunder last week and the week before. I did not set something on YouTube to record the stream. So while it was, I think it was streamed, it was not recorded. So if you're trying to find last week's and the week before, you will not find it because I did not do what I should have done. But this evening I made sure I did it very early. So if you miss the stream for this evening, you can go back and check on YouTube on a website or YouTube on the journey, and you should be able to find this evening's study. So our study for this evening, we are going to be looking at the third so that in 1 Peter chapter 2. So far, we have looked at 2 of the so that's in chapter 2. The first one is where Peter says that we should get rid of all malice and anger, and get rid of all those undesirable things: malice, deceit, hypocrisy, envy, and slander. And he says, newborn babes, we should long for the pure milk of the word, so that by it you may grow in respect to your salvation. So the first so that is in chapter 2, is in verse 2. So that we may grow. You remember, one of the characteristics of living things is that they grow. And so Peter was not saying that we are lifeless things that will not grow. He suggests by what he says that each of us as believers should grow. That's the first one we looked at. Then last week we looked at the second one in this chapter, where he talks about our identity. And among the things he mentions about our identity is that we are a chosen race, royal priesthood in verse 9, holy nation, a people for God's own possession. Then now we come to the second so that you may proclaim the excellencies of him who called you out of darkness into his marvelous light. That is something that we want to remain with us. Remember who we are and why we are called, our identity and our purpose, so that we may proclaim the excellencies of him who called you out of darkness into his marvelous light. Remember why Jesus has called us out of darkness. We have a responsibility. Proclaim the praises, proclaim the good works of the one who has called us out of darkness into his marvelous light. And of course, while there are many, many good works that we can proclaim, some of us may not see some of the seven wonders of the world. Some of us may not see some of the great sights. But one of the excellent things that God has done is to provide for our redemption. All of us who have received forgiveness from God can talk about the new man, the new woman, the new person in Jesus Christ. We can proclaim that. You don't have to be a preacher to talk about your experience. Declare what God has done for you. Remember that man that Jesus healed and from his demon possession, and he decided he wanted to follow Jesus. And Jesus said to him, go home and tell them how great things the Lord has done for you. So from our experiences, we can talk about what Christ has done. All right, so today we are going to look at the third so that in...
Mr. Sanderson.
Hi, Sister Sanderson. Good evening. Welcome.
Good evening, Pastor.
All right, and several other persons are hearing you too. I said that several other persons are hearing you.
Okay.
Yes, yes.
All right, Pastor.
All right, so we are going to look at the third so that in 1 Peter chapter 2 this evening. And this time we are at verse 12. So if somebody would find for us 1 Peter chapter 2 and verse 12. And read it. 1 Peter 2:12.
Live such good lives among the pagans.
All right, there's somebody ahead of you, Sister Bev.
Okay.
All right, go ahead,
Though
Enrique.
they accuse you of doing wrong, they may see your good deeds and glorify God on the day He visits us.
All right, could you do that again? Read it again for me, brother.
Okay.
Yes, please.
This is from the NIV.
Yes, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. Fine.
Live such good lives among the pagans that, though they accuse you of doing wrong, they may see your good deeds and glorify God on the day He visits us.
All right. Did everybody hear that? Okay.
Read it again. No, sir. Really?
All right. Okay, that came from the NIV. Reading from the New American Standard, he says, keep your behavior excellent among the Gentiles, so that in the thing in which they slander you as evildoers, they may, because of your good deeds as they observe them, glorify God in the day of visitation. All right, somebody with the King James Version, read for me, please.
Okay, I'll read it, Pastor. Oh, go ahead. Having your conversation honest among the Gentiles, that whereas they speak against you as evildoers, they may, by your good works, which they shall behold, glorify God in the day of visitation.
All right, thank you. So, the NIV, from which Brother Enrique read, what word is used for? There is the word conduct. Enrique? You probably are muted. You're muted, Enrique. You're muted.
Live such good lives among the pagans that, though they accuse...
All right.
Be the soul man.
All right. Live a good life. All right. So the King James Version says, use the word conversation. The American says your behavior.
Okay.
All right. And the NIV says live a good life among the pagans. All right. One of the reasons why I've asked us to do that is that some of the words, especially in the King James Version, the meaning of some of the words can be confusing. So when we say, if we are speaking, or if someone is having a discussion and we hear the word conversation, we may not think behavior. We think of words. Right? I was having a conversation. If I say I was having a conversation with someone, you are not going to think that it was any behavioral thing. You will be thinking about what we're talking about. Right? Well, that word, which is translated which is translated in the King James Version conversation, it really means behavior. It means way of life. It means conduct. So it is not limited to one's speech. It entails our conduct. All right? And I specifically wanted us to make a note of that so that we do not think that because we hear the word conversation, it is referring or limiting it to what a person has said. So I